Hi friends, Suzanne here. Welcome to another paper pumpkin alternative video on my YouTube channel and blog. If you're new to my channel, I want to say hi. This video will share 5 alternative projects to stretch your paper pumpkin supplies. If you don't know what paper pumpkin is, click the link in the description box below and check it out. I always show what's in the box before I ignore all the instructions and create my own masterpieces. So come along with me as I attempt to create out of the box. Hey everybody, I usually have an unboxing with this video, but that footage got lost. So here it is, the only footage that I have. This is the instructions for the Change is Beautiful paper pumpkin kit for April 2022. Gives you the description on how to put it together. It also gives you some more ideas for alternative uses, and it gives a description of all of the ingredients or all of the things inside the box. Plus it also describes the colorway and what you should sort of have. So the coordinating colors, I should say, if you wish. So I really liked this card base. I thought it was unique and different. What I love about cards like this is that the die cuts come out. You can use the stars if you wanted to as they, in another part of your card. So I didn't do that for any of the card designs I made today or in this video, but there is another suggestion. You have a whole bunch of stars. And then I just love that, right? How can you go wrong with that? So fun. There's also some fun folds, and we're going to do 2 different fun folds here in the alternative videos, but this is one fun fold, kind of cool. And of course you put the card together like the instructions depict, and you have a beautiful card. Here's the second card that is sort of the same. There's a place to write on the back. We also had a ton of beautiful envelopes with this paper pumpkin. So here we're going on with my alternative card. I have a black card base. So I'm going to take my trimmer here and I'm going to trim down on one of the score lines. So not the first one, but the second score line. And then I'm going to trim the side that has the largest flower there. I'm going to trim that to 4 by 5 1/4. And that's going to go on my black card base. And then I'm going to trim this little piece. I don't trim it at all. I'm fussy cutting. So what I'm going to do here is try to put a second layer on this card, and it's going to be popped up, and there's going to be a frame around it. So I'm trying to create layers, if you will, and you very well could do a shaker card with this, doing it the same way. Just going to give you a little peek into some of the fussy cutting. I'm not going through all the fussy cutting with you, but yeah, I trimmed out pretty much the black dotted sky. I wasn't super careful getting in between each of the leaves, but I did manage to fussy cut around the main portion and pretty much the entire bottom. And like I said, I'm going to be attaching this to a frame, and I'm going to show you how to make a frame with just black cardstock. And if you wanted to, you could create a shaker card from this if you have some plastic material. And I always suggest, Stampin' Up does have plastic envelopes in with the regular envelopes, and you can always use that as a shaker material, or the back part or like the hard plastic that you get with any kind of packaging, as long as it doesn't have writing on it. You could use even parts of your stamps. Some of the photopolymer stamps come with a plastic piece. So you can use that. Now, this piece of black card is 5.5 by 4.25. And I am going with my little trimmer here. I'm finding the 1/2 inch mark from the side and from both sides. So you can see I'm putting my little trimmer in. I can see because there's a little indicator and there's rulers on the trim arm there. So I can tell where my little blade is going to be, and I'm matching it up. It's actually pretty good, but if you wanted to just make sure, like sometimes the very corners don't match up, and so I will just go in with my paper snips. Most of the time it works out pretty well, but today here we are with just doing a few little snips. And this is a really basic way. We have some new dies now making these beautiful frames, and they're embossed so they look like frames. Oh my gosh, they're so nice. All right, so here I am with some liquid glue. Whatever glue you have will do, of course. What I like about this glue is that it gives me a bit of wiggle time. And as you can see, I'm placing this on the top of the frame, wiping off a little excess glue. And then here we go. I'm going to put that second layer down. Now, if you wanted to make this a shaker card, on the inside of this frame is where you would place that plastic. But I didn't want to make a shaker card. I just wanted to, like I said, make a second layer. So I'm placing this down on my black cardstock. I always tell people, if you wanted to duplicate my designs, you're more than welcome to. And I often suggest that you use white cardstock. Well, here I have my other favorite, neutral black. So these are foam adhesive strips, and Stampin' Up does sell them. They are lovely for this type of thing. I wish that I had trimmed off that little edge, because the white part of the foam adhesive strip bugged me in the end, and I end up sort of wrestling through and trimming that piece off because it's white on black. So okay, so now I've got all the pieces around and everything seems to me that is a little bit stable. And then all I'm going to do is take some of this foam strip and I'm going to place it behind the flowers that I cut out. I love this. This is, I don't know, it's got a fun, whimsical layering to it. It makes it look like a garden, if you will. So I kind of enjoyed creating this card for sure. So I'm just going to take the release paper off here shortly, or the release paper off the adhesive strips. Sorry, I sometimes stop in the middle of a sentence. I don't know if you're like that. I've been watching the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp case, and I love when I'm listening to commentaries and people are not stopping in the middle of a sentence. They're finishing their thoughts, and I realize how lovely that is and how I very often don't do that. So I'm trying today to be a little bit more cohesive with my speech. And you can see that little edge there that I was talking about. So I'm just going to trim that off. It was too close. And actually what I ended up doing off camera, because it was bugging me, was I took a black blends marker and I just colored the white of the foam adhesive strips with my black marker, so you can't see the white anymore. Okay, so anyway, I stamped "I Believe in You" in a little rectangle, and you can see I'm just trimming it down. This is sometimes how I trim my sentiments, just by eye. I used the Melon Mambo ink for this, and that is going directly in the center. There it is. Then I take Wink of Stella and I go all over the frame because I love Wink of Stella. Had you not known that about me? I find I buy bottles now, or buy pens now 2 at a time, so that I have them when one runs out. I can quickly move on to number 2 and then they get on the list again. Trust me, I don't overuse them. I mean, I overuse them. I use them a lot. I love them. This one's almost at the end. It's going to become a water brush soon. But I do like the way Wink of Stella adds just extra sparkle to your card. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to the embellishment section, or I think it's close to the embellishment section of the annual catalog. You will see the Wink of Stella there. We are still carrying it. It is a lovely product. I don't know how once the liquid dries, I don't know how it doesn't come off, but it doesn't. It's like some kind of a resin almost. So lovely. And then we're going to move on to card number 2. All right, so I have an envelope here and my Excalibur. I found this on Amazon. Oh my gosh, I should link it. People have asked. There's many different types of these swords. This one is Excalibur. They're so cool. Someone said, oh yeah, my dad had one of those. Oh, it makes me feel old. Or weird. Maybe I should have been a man in another life. I don't know. Okay, so anyway, I'm tearing apart this envelope and I'm cutting a piece of the envelope to, let's see what size I am, 3 3/4 by 5. And then I have the white piece and I'm cutting that to 3 inches by 4 3/8. And yeah, that's all you need to know. I am trying to get my measurements a little bit better. One of the things that I did just to help me remember so that I don't have to measure all the time is that, and you'll see it coming up in the video, where I actually write down the sizing. So if you wanted to just pause the video, if you wanted to use the same design, more than welcome to do so. And you will get the sizing correct. All right, so here is that blue piece going down on my basic white thick card base. This is the pink envelope that I am placing over top of the blue dots. So now we have blue dots and pink dots, which I think go very nicely together. And then we have our little white piece as well. So I'm just using the bone folder to curve the butterfly wings up, and then I'm curving them rounded. So the body basically stays in the center and the wings look like little, I don't know, the curvy and fun. So I stamped the "Every Day is a New Day" on that piece of envelope. And then I will attach those 2 little clouds. But first, I can't remember the sequence that everything went in. So now I am just cutting a little strip of the dimensionals that came in the kit. And I always find that the dimensionals that come in the kit, they're slightly taller than the normal ones. So that's unique. I did put a few of these like little dimensionals on the ends of the butterfly just to make sure they're stuck down. And when you put them in the envelope to send to somebody, they're not going to get squashed, I guess. So I'm just putting dry adhesive. This is, what are we calling it? Seal Plus. It is by far my favorite adhesive now, especially now that I don't have too many arguments with it. I find a light hand works well, and not to force it. It will come. All right, and so I'm putting my little butterfly down. Love the color of the butterfly. The pink and the yellow goes really nicely with the gray. I put it over top of the over top of the clouds, and then Wink of Stella on the wings. And here I squash some Wink of Stella out on just a non-porous surface, and I will use it to sort of pick up some of the sparkle. And I'll use it on the clouds too, because I have some extra. Wink of Stella is a really good investment. All right, so here is my little dish of jewels and extra die cuts that came with this kit. So I used one of the little gems to make the head of the butterfly. All right, moving on to card number 3, and this is one of the fun folds. So I've taken a cardstock long ways and I have cut it at 4 1/4. I'm going to flip and turn, and I'm going to score at, the first one I score at is 2 inches. And then I move the card along to, let's see, if I scored that at 2 inches, my next score is 7 1/2. And I am measuring right at the moment here. And then I flip it around. So basically the small side is going to be on the right-hand side and the wide side is going to be on the left. Hopefully you're picking up what I'm throwing down. So it goes that way. All right, so, and here I start marking my pieces. So somebody in the comments had asked if I wouldn't mind sharing some of the ways I cut and how I cut cardstock and stuff. And when I'm thinking of someone who is doing paper pumpkin, they might not be as avid of a crafter. So if this part bores you, I apologize. I am trying to facilitate and encourage crafters of all walks of life. And sometimes we gloss over, measurements and how things work. So as you can see, I've written the measurements on my white card. I'm going to be cutting sort of a white or a piece for the one side to the other. So 3 1/4 by 4 is going to be one side, and I've just covered up the other measurement. So anyway, it was like 4 by 1 1/4 or something like that. Anyway, pause the video if you want to know what that, it's 4 by 1 3/4. That is that little piece. So pause the video so that you can jot down the measurements if you wish. All right, so I'm just putting my favorite dry adhesive and I'm placing this beautiful envelope onto my fun fold. So this is like a gate fold. It's not something that is really hard to do. It's very easy. Sorry, everyone. I just had a little coughing fit and I had to pause the recording. So again, this is a gatefold card, pretty simple. And how I'm going to zhuzh it up is by this little piece of white. And that is, let's see, 3 3/4 by 2 1/4. I am doing some generational stamping here. So I'm stamping the butterfly. I ended up choosing the 3rd generation of stamp. So we are putting our butterflies kind of all over this piece. 3 looks good. And I ended up matting that. So I made a piece, I used a piece of cardstock that was 4 by 2 1/2. and I just matted that. So I adhered it together, and it's going to go on the front of that gatefold. I am going to put adhesive on the left-hand side. Here I'm writing down the measurements. Please feel free to pause. I'm adhering the white piece to, this was Granny Apple Green, and I chose that color because of the envelope color and because it is a coordinating color from the paper pumpkin. All right, so now that piece is stuck down. And sorry, off camera there, I stamped beautiful things, take time. All right, so this was a die cut from the kit. I'm putting it full straight and center on my card. I'm using a little bit extra of that Wink of Stella on that non-porous dimensional backing there. And then what I have done is I've taken the sentiment and I will fussy cut it out. So I know fussy cutting, sometimes I swear I can hear your eyes roll when I say fussy cutting, but not a lot of sentiments come with their own dies. So sometimes we have to cut things out ourselves. Now, if you don't like things cut out as tiny as this, obviously I wanted the beautiful rose. I wanted that to be front and center as opposed to the sentiment. So that's the reason why I'm trying to make the sentiment as small as possible. I don't know if you guys have seen the brand new photopolymer stamp set called Charming Sentiments. You might want to look it up. The number, I'm going to give you the number. It is 159985. And this is in the Stampin' Up office, or this is in the online store for Stampin' Up. And this sentiments have die cuts with them, like they have dies that cut them out. And there's plenty of them. There's probably about 16 different sentiments. So I'm giving you my stamp of approval. That Charming Sentiments is probably going to be one of my most used stamp sets. And they have amazing sentiments, and they can be die cut. So you won't have to roll your eyes so loudly at me. All right, so I'm just putting dimensional adhesive on the back side, or on one side of the sentiment. I don't know why. I just didn't. I could have doubled up on the adhesive here, but I chose not to. I think it's fine the way it is. I'm going to adhere that sentiment just on the flower itself. Half of it's on the flower, and then half of it's hanging off. So the hanging off part, I didn't put any dimensional adhesive. I'm just being different, mixing it up. Here's the beautiful iridescent little, they're like little stones, I think, or butterfly bodies, or flower centers, whatever. So I put 3 on this card, and I'm calling this gatefold done. Okay, moving on to card number 4. So since I was doing the fun fold on the other card, I'm going to do a fun fold on this one too. So I have a piece of card that is 7.5, and I'm scoring it at 2. Then I'm taking another piece of card and I am cutting it down to 1 3/4 by 4 1/4. Then I'm taking my one of the cards in the kit, and I'm cutting some pieces off of it. So this one side is going to be 1 3/4 by 4. Then I'm going to cut off the inside, and that is sized at 5 1/4 by 4. And then I'll be honest with you, and here's this other little strip of white, I should say. Here, this strip of white is 1 3/4 by, I already gave that measurement, by 4. Okay, so one of the things that I did not like in this card is that weird kind of, I don't know, cocoon. I don't want to put cocoons on my cards. I'm sorry. Some people might like cocoons. I'm not really fond of them. So I'm not putting them on my card. All right, so here I am doing some measuring for you. I'm writing down the measurements. One of the nice things that I thought I would do for anybody interested and they want to put the card together. So this 1 1/2 by 4 little strip goes on this edge, or on this piece of white. And I do have a score right in the center of it, so I just burnished it out with my bone folder. This is going on that fold here. And then the clouds and everything are going to go on the inside of the card. And again, I mean, you could put this side too, but this is 5 1/4 by 4. Putting my favorite adhesive. Look at how fast that adhesive. I don't know why people have trouble. I've gotten, I think, closer to the end of the Seal Plus is when you have some issue. So that one piece of card and paper is loose on the right hand side, and it's just, don't glue it down anywhere. So here is another piece of card, and this is sized 4 by 2 1/2. And I'm also going to cut a piece of the extra envelope the same size. So this is where the sentiment is going, right in the center. And it's going to be a bridge between the hinged portion on the left and the free portion on the right. Hopefully you're picking up what I'm throwing down. And here is the measurement for that piece. And also I'm cutting down this envelope. So again, like I said, somebody asked me how to cut some stuff down, and I'm here to oblige, especially when someone makes a comment. I love when you guys comment. I love when you say, hey, what about this? Have you thought of this? Or I loved this, or I didn't like this because I don't want, I can take constructive criticism. Of course, this is the part where I offer, hey, make sure that you write in the comments which ones you liked the best. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And I love it also too when someone says that they can't choose a favorite. They're all good. That's great. I also love when people say, I've struggled a little bit with this kit and your alternatives have made it a lot easier for me to work with, because there's nothing worse than, paying for something that you feel like you can't use. So I use Memento Tuxedo Black ink for this particular piece, just because I wanted to introduce some of the black. So I was just showing you there, when you're putting this hinge or this bridge piece, just put a little bit of adhesive on the left and on the right side. Don't put anything in the middle or you're going to stick that whole part down. And then on the inside here, we're just going to cover those unsightly seams. I don't like the seams to show. So here's my little piece going on inside. And again, you guys, I do apologize for this video being really late. The month of May has been extraordinarily busy for me. My best friend got married. I had the 7 days of wedding mass before that. And then I'm going away for holidays in June here to Utah to visit with a lot of other demonstrators for sort of an impromptu few days of businessy stuff. And it's not even put on by Stampin' Up. It was put on by a demonstrator in the States who just wanted to gather us all together. So there's a lot of us that are going, and I think about 80 people or so are all going to hang out. So I've had to my work in May, now my real job as a stylist has been really condensed. And of course, you know, my family obligations with my mom. So I've had a very busy May, and I was just trying to dig out some time. Oh, by the way, did I mention that I had company? So I had company during this whole time as well. Anyway, you saw what I did there. I put those beautiful little iridescent pearls on the flowers, and those flowers came from the kit. All right, we're moving on to the last and final card, you guys. And again, this one's probably my favorite. So I have some leftovers. So there was a leftover piece of card. There's a leftover piece of envelope. Don't you love it when you have leftover pieces? Sometimes it takes way more creativity using the scraps than it does to actually put together the kit. And I love that. I love, you know, there's a quote by Picasso, and it says, "Inspiration will find you, but it must find you working," or something to the like. So again, there's pieces all over the place on this one. I don't have measurements. I don't know if I wrote them down. There's a strip and a square and a butterfly and a sentiment. So yes, and I don't think I have that one in front of me, so I can't measure it, but you can certainly figure it out. I think that was probably about 1.5 inches by maybe 3 3/4 inches ish. And there's a cat hair. I deal with this all the time, and you know what? I did manage to get it out. I was going to say, you know, sometimes I would just leave it. As long as it's stuck underneath and it's not poking out, it's totally fine. Just a little bit of furry love in there. All right, so that little square gets put down with dimensionals, and that's getting put on the card, and then I'm going to stamp the sentiment on that little strip of paper, and I'm going to cut it down. Now, I did the same thing with the butterfly. I curved the wings out and in again so they look like they're fluttering. Gives it a little bit of dimension. Quite liked this style. I like this very much, the sort of geometric. And of course I have some dimensional adhesive that I am trimming down, and I'm just going to use a little strip of that. And I want you guys to know that you can see all the supplies that I used in this video listed below in the video See More section. Or if you're watching this video on my blog, you'll find it in the supplies section on my blog. And if you click on those links, I call them fast links, but if you click on the links, they're going to take you to my Canadian online store. And if you shop with me and you're Canadian, it gives me the chance to reach out to you, send you a card kit, and earn your business. I was just working with one of my customers. Hi, Kathleen. She had a little problem with her paper pumpkin, and I was able to call head office for her, and I was able to make her day happier. So hopefully it all works out for Kathleen in Ontario. Anyway, I gotta say, here I've put my little design together. I'm putting Wink of Stella over the butterfly, and then I let that dry a little bit. I do believe I put some of these iridescent like stone shapes in there's for the body. And then I take it one step further, you guys, and I do some spritzing with my Granny Apple green marker. So that's kind of cool. I haven't seen the spritzing in a while. And how the spritzing works is I take my marker and I press the nib on the lid, and it spritzes out some ink. I love that look. And that is it, you guys. So thanks so much for watching, and bye for now.